big outdoor concerts, and it means things like parades. Things that here in the city can mean not just thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. It's just not time for that now.
What about protests? If people want to march down Fifth Avenue, are they going to be allowed to do so?
Look, Wolf, this is always an area of real sensitivity. If you're just talking about health, we would always say, hey, folks, stay home if you can. But we understand at this moment in history, people are talking about the need for historic changes. I mean, today in New York City, recognizing the power and the meaning of the message Black Lives Matter, which we did in front of Trump Tower today. This is a historic moment of change. We have to respect that, but also say to people, the kinds of gatherings we're used to, the parades, the fairs, we just can't have that while we're focusing on health right now.
What about the U.S. Open? I'm curious. I love going to the U.S. Open. I love tennis.
Now, the mayor of New York City is not saying that you won't get hurt or sick from this sickness going around that predominantly affects black people, but he says if you do, well, it's worth it because you're supporting a totalitarian establishment movement that parades itself in radical Marxist ideas that he personally likes, while at the same time enforcing a lockdown that creates more poverty, addiction, mental illness. And while all of this is happening, he's cheering on, protesting, doing photo ops. And we wonder why New York and its surrounding states are responsible for nearly half of all the deaths related to this sickness in the United States. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Zukadowski of wearechange.org, a now stateless refugee, a New York City evacuee for that reason and many other reasons, including the increase of rat attacks that are happening in New York City. And that actually won't be the topic of today's video, although I am thinking about making a separate YouTube channel talking about my evacuation and planning thereafter from the Big Apple. Let me know if you think that would be a good idea down in the comment section below. But today's topic that we will be focusing on will be the larger question, and that is, will there be any justice against Ghislaine Maxwell? We're going to be doing a deep dive into the records, all the information we're getting that is absolutely crucially important, again, a lot of bombshells in this video, to why I think we might be going through a psyop. Again, a major deep dive video, which are the types of videos that we do on this channel that routinely get heavily censored, shadow banned, and of course now are 100% demonetized. There has been massive censorship on this platform from many creators. Recently, Stefan Molyneux, also Max Egan of the Crow House, all had their channels deleted. And even though I don't agree with those individuals 100% on everything that they say, still, we have to understand censorship is an act of a totalitarian entity, and no matter who does it, the people always lose, especially when speech is tightly controlled. And this is why, to sustain our operations, we greatly appreciate all the donations. But during these difficult times, we also had to work with other businesses that we like, and one of them that I personally use and enjoy as a product is a product called VPN City, which gives you an extra layer of privacy and security online, allowing you to quickly change your location by the click of a button, and also allows you to see websites, content, and entertainment that you would naturally not be able to see if you didn't have a VPN. Personally, I recently tried to watch the latest episodes of Rick and Morty on Netflix. You can't do that here in the United States, but you can in Australia, which VPN City allows you to do. Again, I don't have an official relationship with this company. I just started using them. They were a great product. They have affiliate codes. Ours is down in the description below, and if you use this product like I'm using, you at the same time support this independent media organization and get a pretty good product at a great rate that I'm happy that I personally use, especially with all the harassments and threats that I've been getting recently. It's very useful to be able to mask your location. Now, talking about a person that hasn't been able to successfully mask her location, we of course have the Ghislaine Maxwell saga that is unfolding right now in front of us. The latest news that we are hearing are federal authorities that are promising that she won't commit suicides. While in custody, Maxwell has had her sheets taken away from her. She was given paper clothes And from the previous videos, we mentioned the prison that she is in is known for abusing inmates and being utterly corrupt. And that's one reason why we shouldn't trust the federal authorities here. Another reason that we talked about a lot on this YouTube channel, why we should be skeptical of the federal authorities, is that because it's been now over 3 decades that under the watchful eye of police officers, prosecutors, lawyers, judges, federal agents, this abuse has been happening to thousands of children with all of them knowing, standing by and not doing anything. But now, after doing a lot of thinking and a lot of research, there are a lot more reasons to be skeptical of this entire Ghislaine Maxwell saga. First of all, it's important to note here that she is facing charges that stem from 1994 to 1997. This is the official Southern District of New York press release announcing these charges. And we have to ask ourselves, why out of this time period only is she being charged? It's also important to note that during this time period, there is no public record or acknowledgement of the involvement of Prince Andrew, the Clintons, Alan Dershowitz, and a lot of the other powerful people that she surrounded herself with. If that's the case, that means that these powerful individuals won't be implicated in the upcoming court hearing and proceedings that will take place, which would exonerate them from any kind of findings or investigations dealing with this particular case. This is also on the heels right before Ghislaine's arrest, where a U.S. judge ruled that one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, was ordered to destroy evidence against her case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And after the documents and evidence and other individuals who were implicated were ordered to be destroyed with proof of that destruction, only then did Ghislaine get arrested. There's also, of course, a mysterious $1 billion transaction that happened right before Ghislaine's arrest, which some people are theorizing, speculating that it could have been related to Maxwell. Again, there's still no hard evidence proving this other than theories by some individuals out there. And the reason some people are trying to link this mysterious Bitcoin transaction to Maxwell is that it happened right before her arrest, and the Reddit users, which many people are speculating and believing is Ghislaine Maxwell herself, posted this story, and it was the last story that this user posted. Again, there is a theory also going around that one of the most powerful, prominent users and curators on Reddit was Ghislaine Maxwell herself, under the username Maxwell Hill, because the user stopped posting right after the arrest of Maxwell. The user also posted in favor lowering the age of consent and made very similar posts trying to legalize the very illicit, illegal activities that Ghislaine was a part of. That, along with the former Reddit CEO recently acknowledging that she knew Ghislaine was procuring children for illicit purposes, is why some people are speculating that this user that influenced Reddit very, very heavily was Ghislaine Maxwell herself. Now, Vice just did a story about this titled "Incoherent Conspiracies Suggest Ghislaine Maxwell is a Powerful Reddit User." And yes, we do have to acknowledge that the evidence here is circumstantial. There is no smoking gun. There is no definitive proof or evidence that this user is Ghislaine Maxwell. It is all circumstantial. And it's also very interesting that Vice is writing a hit piece about this, predominantly curated and promoted Vice and its articles on the Reddit platform. And now, Reddit is banning any conversation surrounding this particular topic, which again is just absolutely ridiculous. What influence did this user have on its platform? Obviously a very vast, important one. Could we have a discussion? Could we investigate? Could we learn from each other on Reddit about who this person actually is? Well, no. Reddit is just banning and deleting any mention and conversation about this, which is utterly ridiculous. Now, another point to consider is when we look at Ghislaine Maxwell, she was connected to extremely very powerful individuals, along, of course, with Epstein. Some victims have even pointed to her being in charge of the extortion operation that was being run on very powerful individuals. But even in her own personal dating life, it is rumored that she was dating Scott Bergerson and allegedly was even with him during the time of her arrest. This, of course, is a man that is 14 years younger than Maxwell. He's a millionaire tech CEO. And according to the Daily Mail, he left his wife and 2 children to be with Ghislaine on a seaside mansion, quote, staying under the radar. He owns a data analytics company and has gotten most of his funding from Eric Schmidt, the Bilderberg CEO, Google head honcho, who is also working with the Pentagon on making the U.S. military more, quote, tech-savvy. And already in her close inner circle, you're seeing a lot of wealth, a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of influence, which of course have a lot of implications. Previously, I've talked about the possibility of this situation being a, quote, controlled burn. An incident, of course, done on purpose to reduce otherwise bigger damage that would happen. And by looking at the charges, I think that's what's happening here. And at first, I was told that the charges she was facing was the same charges that Jeffrey Epstein was facing, that she was facing life, but that's not the case here. When we really look at the charges, they're actually not that strong. There's charges of trafficking, but there's not charges of abuse, which of course we know many victims directly pinpoint and blame Ghislaine Maxwell for doing. Again, Ghislaine Maxwell has been accused not just of procuring victims, but also abusing them herself, which these charges don't implicate. And what looks like a first-time offender, I believe these charges will allow her to get bailed out. Because again, these are light charges. And again, we should be questioning everything from the federal authorities here, since of course they've been dropping the ball for over 3 decades now. And most importantly, where's the mugshot? Where's the perp walk? Why is Ghislaine going to be in the court proceedings via video link and not there herself? Where's the actual evidence that she actually was arrested? As we learned through the Jeffrey Epstein story, we can't trust the federal authorities with anything, but they're not giving us anything here at all. And the federal authorities are telling us that we should just believe them on their word that she is. And again, in these particular cases, there's absolutely no reason to. So this is one of the reasons why I do believe there will be bail granted in this case. It is my opinion after looking at all of the details here conclusively. But another scenario that could play out here is that, of course, Ghislaine, who according to many has her own stash of secret videos, photos, and tapes of powerful people that were used previously for extortion. A scenario that could happen here is that Ghislaine could talk and cut a deal with prosecutors, and the prosecutors, along with the federal authorities, could just say, well, there was a secret deal, there's a new investigation ongoing, and it is sealed. It is classified, and you're not privy to any of this information, and Ghislaine Maxwell is free to go, since, of course, she cooperated. In what? In which way? What was the actual ramifications here? Well, again, we wouldn't be able to find out. And that's another scenario that I do believe could likely play out here, since during these times, it's better to be skeptical than believing of a system that allowed this to happen for so long to so many children. Again, the judicial system has been proven corrupt with the Epstein case, the first case where he was actually arrested and was able to leave jail during the day in his own private wing of the jail. Again, there's so many aspects of this story that I could get into. But even recently, a judge who was exposed for the Kids for Cash scandal, throwing teens in jail for the crimes of making fake MySpace pages, and was getting paid heavily by a private prison, that man is not even facing the full jail time that he was given and was just released early for the horrible injustices that he caused countless number of victims, some of which even committed suicide after, of course, the horrible things that he did abusing this justice system. And now, this man has been released early after using the justice system to ruin so many lives. And that right there is a huge injustice out of many injustices. And that's why right now, believing the system and its face value is absolutely ridiculous. More than ever, we need calls for transparency, accountability, all the photos, all the records to be released by the federal government, since of course it was them that aided and abetted in the abuse of thousands of children, hurting them in ways that they can never heal from. So yeah, you would think that would be reasonable. You would think this would be something that's, common sense, and it's not. We get censored, we get screwed over just for even talking about these very issues that, of course, are important to everyone. The way that the system is run is absolutely disgusting, and the only way to fix it, the only way to get rid of this seedy darkness is to, of course, shine a light on it, which independent media is. The mainstream media, well, they're telling you to protest while they're concerned over, of course, tennis matches. And that's the content that YouTube promotes, wants out there, fully monetizes while screwing over independent media. So once again, thank you so much for supporting us on wearechange.org/donate. And most importantly, thank you so much for being here with me and sharing this video. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And this is why. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.